Let's talk about Sierra Leone, West Africa's natural largest harbor, and if they were to dredge rivers, you would connect into the Ghana or Mali kingdoms, trade routes of old, connecting all of West Africa and bending into what is now the driest of the Sahel. Russia's there. It's all about the gold reserves and having the entry and exit point feeder lines into the rest of Western Africa. I'm going to start you off here, West Africa, Sierra Leone. You can see Guinea and Liberia sandwiched there as well. Guinea-Bissau, some beautiful beaches. Now, why is this going to be some of the most valuable real estate on the planet, do you ask? Well, if we look at the past, we can see the future, and the players are already there. And choose the one you like. Freetown, Bonte, massive ports and feeders into the river systems, which then connect further afield. Largest natural harbor on the African continent, allowing international shipping. And if you see where the previous mega lakes were in the vast kingdoms that had trade networks across, the only thing you're missing is the connectivity to tap all of that. It's missing one single segment. Aerial view here of the possibilities of the harbors and what could be expanded and built across all of Western Africa, as this is now the new debt system restart. The 80-year fourth turning is centered here. And I took the liberty of putting the yellow line between Freetown and Bonte, port area, shall we call it. And then the yellow line will extend up to the rivers journeying inland across multiple nations. This is what's missing, and Russia is there to develop it. Sierra Leone is your jump-off point, and as you feed up through Guinea in coordination with these two nations, follow the river system up and around all the way over into Niger and Nigeria. And you say, well, I can't really see what you're talking about. Let's widen it out. What is missing? The connector right there coming through Sierra Leone that would allow us, with dredging and above ground natural water again coming because of changes in the West African monsoon, intensification, and we can see how these river systems could quarter off that part of Western Africa, allowing trade, allowing road systems, and allowing a full network of minerals, mineral exploration, possibilities for renewed agriculture, as well as gold and the ability to get everything to market. That's the big thing. Here's Russia and Sierra Leone agreeing on outlined spheres of economic cooperation, developing ports and dredging waterways. That's what their talks were about. And Timothy Kaba, foreign minister from Sierra Leone, they're becoming very intertwined. It turns out the key to losing weight and keeping it off is not carbs or fat or even probiotic-rich foods. Nope. The end game of having a healthy weight, as well as more energy and a long, healthy life, comes down to a specific switch which you can flip in your body to flush out unnecessary calories. Dr. Stephen Gundry is calling this caloric bypass. And by activating this specific process in your body, he's seen thousands, yes, thousands of people dramatically improve their health, even at age 50 and beyond. This includes losing weight, getting tons more energy, and returning to the good health that they had in their youth once they simply addressed this one key to better health. Dr. Stephen Gundry has lost 70 pounds himself using this research and has kept the weight off for over 20 years and counting. His digestive issues are gone. His health is fantastic, and he feels younger and healthier today than he did in his 40s. His video has been watched by over 20 million people to date, and you can watch and learn more about it at thehealthyfat.com/adapt. And he'll teach you exactly how he's kept his weight off for free at thehealthyfat.com/adapt. Click on that link in the description box below. And now on with the video. So let me do just an economic experiment with you here. Countries with the highest GDP in Africa. So we look at the Seychelles, hugely tourist. Mauritius, also huge on the tourism. And we get down to Gabon, Botswana, Equatorial Guinea, come into Libya. You got previously the water projects to grow mass amounts of crops in the desert. Before that, water pipe system was bombed to smithereens. We got South Africa, Algeria, Namibia, Cabo Verde. And then another interesting graphic off Statista here. Where's the wealth concentrated? Well, we've got South Africa, Egypt, Nigeria, Kenya, Morocco, Mauritius again, Algeria, Ghana, Ethiopia, Namibia. What don't you see on the list? That's the most important question. Because if you're already entering a market that's saturated, your chance to flip on a higher ROI or even come in on the development phase to offer something for development is greatly reduced. But now you come into somewhere that's completely off the development map, doesn't exist on any of these charts in terms of GDP. Well, then you can really offer something that in a symbiotic fashion can develop out the nation, improve the livelihoods of those persons, bring them up to what we consider the modern world and American standard of living. This is why the debt system is shifting. The Sahel is going to be a new growing area for food. Once they get those pumps in there and they start hitting the aquifers, bringing out the irrigation canals, the transportation systems, the highway systems, the railroad networks, all the satellite networks to make it work, they're getting a double rotation crop on an area equally as large as the United States in the total grow zone. It's going to put to shame anything that's on a single rotation crop that we see in bread baskets across the world. It all needs funding, it all needs debt to do it, and they need to restart the system somewhere where people need that debt. And after 80 years, you're going to look at this area and you will not know the difference between an American neighborhood and a Sierra Leone or Chad or somewhere in the African Sahel that you're not in that same American neighborhood. They will be equivalent after this run of funds and the bringing up of lifestyles through this thing we call debt. It's just repeating a cycle. And we look at the beaches of Sierra Leone. They can tap into the tourist craze as well, ecotourism. And there's a lot that can be developed here, but it has been off limits for so long on purpose. And look at the GDP per capita. It rose from $1,000 to $2,000 and then back down again. You're looking at tens of thousands of dollars in more developed nations. So you're talking 10, 20 times less development. So again, the opportunity to go a 20x on the money or development or a 200x on that versus something that's already built out like the Seychelles or Mauritius, you can see the possibilities. So here's some numbers for you. Agriculture in Sierra Leone, 2/3 of the population is subsistence agriculture. They're not even talking mechanized machinery. It's like you grow what you need to stay alive. You might be able to sell a bit extra. You could trade. And then if we look at energy, 12% of the population has access to electricity. That means there's 80+% of those persons living there that want to have electricity that don't. Russia's going to offer, China's offering to build out their grid on a revenue share. And speaking of riches, if we trace back through the Ghana, the Mali, and the Aksum kingdoms of prior, going back some 1800 years, we'll find the trade of gold across areas we could no longer transit. So if we do look at what the previous trade routes were, we know that these river systems were utilized when there was far more water. Now a lot of them have silted up, and dredging them out would put them back into productivity again. But for some reason, Africa has been non-developed for more than a century on purpose. But we're just going to use this as a blueprint. And if we can take this all the way up through Gat and up into Tripoli and Tunis, these trade routes are viable through rivers all the way down into Nigeria and through parts of Niger. And from there, branching off north to Tripoli and Tunis, just like it was before. Push everything needed for economic development into the middle of Central Western Africa and the Sahel. And another map that I came across here, the overlapping of Ghana and Mali. And then if you go over to the far west, what would be considered, Ethiopia and Sudan, etc. today, that is the Aksum kingdom. But the trade routes looks like a spider web. In Salaha, Why is that? Well, if we look at where the old African megalakes were, they were far larger than they are today, the remnants of it. So really, I'm questioning some of the, the history we're fed here. Because if you come directly out of Tunis, you're coming to the very edge of this Lake Megafazan in Codis Megalake. You're transiting along either through that or to the periphery of it, going up to Algiers as well. There's no way you could possibly make this journey without water along the way. And look out west, how many, what we would consider massive lakes were there transiting from Timbuktu, moving up to, again, In Salah. So when we look back at these maps in the 1400s, what do we see? A vast network of lakes that were there 600 years ago, which are not today. So this timing of how long it takes for things to become dry or desertification, I don't know if I'm believing the timeline, because I'm looking at massive lake and river systems here. And if we come up into the 1500s, you notice that the lakes have shrunken in over a 150-year period. They went down that much. But what still exists? The same river systems and networks that could be interconnected today. And if the West African monsoon is throwing more rainfall, we're going to start to see a lot more flooding all over Africa, which we are. So these rivers are going to carry more water. When we look at the Kingdom of Ghana, 1000 AD, Mali Empire, Songhai, and again, Aksum was connecting and trading all the way across some of the driest parts of our planet, so they had to have had water. Now the Mali Empire, interestingly here, gold fields were already marked back in, 1300s? They already knew where the gold deposits were. And these kingdoms were so wealthy, it would put any of our billionaires to shame today. And look at the trade routes running right through the deserts. At that time, they had more water. So I want to do a specific one for you here. This map coming out of the 1550s. So I'm widening the map out for you here. And if we look at where some of these same areas are along the coast, I mean, there's vast lakes and tributaries coming out, and if we look down where that red transits into yellow, that's the whole area that we're talking about today. You shoot off one of those ports, you're going to reach that old what was lake right there in Guinea, and then you can connect to that river system through Mali without even blinking an eye. Now what I wanted to point out though is that center feature that looks like a starred island in the middle of that massive lake. But I'm going to swing you up to what it looks like today. This is where we sit. And talking with David Stig Hansen, when he was talking about going to the Eye of Africa, he pointed out that there seems to be a system of parallel canals in this same area. Okay, you could call it Lake Oro, Lago Oro, but you can see where the estuary is very similar to the Okavango Delta, the Kalahari canals down in the desert there. So if we zoom in on them, all of these separate individual lakes were all that giant water body with that star formation of an island in the center. And then if you look at this, well, that would be a great place to cultivate if you could get in there. And wow, these look like rows already made. So I'm wondering what was going on some thousands of years ago that the timeline shifted. And for the cherry on top, if we want to see the domestication of wild pearl, millet, wild sorghum, we're going to look right there at dots 6, 7, 8, 4, 5. Wait, that's in the middle. So how do you even grow anything up this bone-dry desert right now? Wait. Far different climate. They show you the mega lakes of prior, and you see that this being a breadbasket of that part of Africa. Imagine what you could do again with proper farming techniques, fuel, and a distribution system. You think Nigeria could increase its millet production? I bet they could. So you see the world shifting, and this is just a single player, a couple players here of China and Russia with the BRICS that are going to flood this area with positive capital in this symbiotic relationship, and we'll see where it goes. But this would be one of those. There's a few factors to look for. Again, has this place previously been built into? Is there a lot of tourism? Is there a lot of investment into it already? So those areas that it's not, those are the first primary points that these other players are moving into. So I hope you got something out of the video. Please share with your friends and family. Click that like and subscribe button so the algorithm can share this information more. Push it up into the suggested video category. Hope you got something out of the video. See you next time. Bye for now.